Hello folks, it is Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope your day is going well. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing to the channel and helping me towards my brand new 20,000 subscriber target. How amazing would that be if we could get there at some point? It is a pipe dream for me, but one day we will get there. And if you can help me get there, then please do consider subscribing to me. It costs you nothing, and it makes my day whenever I see that tick up. So thank you very much for doing that. If I've ever helped you out, or if you think my videos could help out a friend of yours or somebody that you know, then feel free to pass them along and maybe they'll subscribe. You never know. If you're getting anything towards Christmas, then make sure you head over to Composite Games down below and use the promo code Northern Exile to get yourself 5% off your order at checkout. I know you have the hobbyist in your life, or you are the hobbyist in your life maybe. You want to get yourself a Christmas present. Times are hard, and any discount is worth it. And times are also hard for local businesses. So if you can go and help out Composite Games, that would mean the world to me too. So, here we are. Let's get into some hobby nightmares, shall we? A nice calmer backdrop today, where we have Guts watching over the field of campfires down there. Very famous scene in Berserk. I do recommend Berserk. A lot of people have said to me, what is that in the background whenever you've used it in the past? It is from the manga Berserk. I recommend, even if you don't like manga, that you give Berserk a go. It is probably, aside from Vagabond, my favourite ever manga. And I'm not a manga guy. I am not into anime. I'm not into manga. But those two things, Vagabond and Berserk, are still two of the best things I've ever read. And I include Lord of the Rings. And I mean, Lord of the Rings is amazing. It's amazing. You know, it's like half as good as Berserk. Like, Super Eye Patch Wolf said that about Berserk as well, about something else that he'd written, that he'd read, that was amazing. I'm like that with Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. It's like half as good as Berserk. Go read it. Anyway, Dave says, oh my god, we got a Dave. Hello. Hi North, you can call me David. Mainly because that's my name and I'm proud of it, alright? I discovered your channel by chance a few months ago, and ever since I've been binging your content. I've really enjoyed listening to your videos on the 40 or so minute drives to and from work. 40 minutes is a lot of petrol, man. I hope you can afford it. I agree with a lot of what you say. Not all, but a lot. It's since starting to listen to your videos that I decided to take the plunge and start collecting 40k. Yes, that's a result. That is a result. Every time you message me and you tell me I started 40k because of you, mate. Yes, brilliant. Grow this hobby. This is my first tentative step into collecting any hobby armies at all. It's like I said to my fiancée. Now I'm in my 40s, I must be due a midlife crisis, and instead of getting a flash sports car or a bit on the side, I'll get some plastic toy soldiers instead. Yeah, she's getting off lightly. I'm currently building up a small force of Imperial Guard. Pics of my first attempts at painting are attached. Let's have a look. See, I'm going to say that these are pretty good models. I think I've seen this before. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, how dare you do that for your first model, dude? What's going on? Those are amazing. Those are so cool. Well done, man. Well done. Absolutely well done. That's fantastic. I mean, again, there are mistakes here and there. Like, I don't know what's going on with the guy's face in the front there. It looks like he's having some sort of seizure. But, like, again, for a first-time model, for a first-time squad, that's amazing. Those are better bases than I can do. And I've been doing this for 20 years, on and off. You know? That's incredible. Well done. Absolutely top man. I'll leave that up there for a while. My beautiful lady is actually the one with hobby experience. She used to collect Tyranids back in the day before I met her, and she's now racing ahead of me, painting some wonderful nuns with guns. The only issue I have with your videos is the Dave thing. I'll sit there and listen to fun and interesting stories off your other listeners, often chuckling to myself, sometimes disagreeing with your take on things, but generally enjoying what I'm listening to. But then, the Dave thing will arise. Hearing your name basically be the villain in every other story is really starting to grate on me. Well, I have to say, Dave, stop acting like a Dave. I'm just saying. Sorry, don't crash your car. Don't crash your car, please. I'm sure I'm not the only Dave who feels the same way. I don't know, man. It might not seem much to you, but it's getting on my wick that much now that I'm finding myself actually switching off halfway through videos and thinking about unsubbing and giving your content a miss altogether. Wow, okay. This really would be a shame because, like I say, I really do enjoy your channel. How about giving love to to such a beloved and, let's face it, common name? And maybe let some other name become the main antagonist on the channel for a bit. How about Eric? When's the last time an Eric did anything for anybody? Sorry to any Erics out there listening, it's just a suggestion. Anyway, a big thanks for all you do and for the people here, and all the best to you and your family. Kind regards, David. Okay, so that's not a hobby nightmare, I know, but I wanted to just put that on because somebody from the Discord pointed my way, pointed it to me and said, look, you know, if this ever comes up with the David thing, can you put it on the channel? And I said yes, so here it is. So, one thing that might help you, David, might be to know where that came from, right? If you want to know where that came from. When I first started this channel, there was a video that I did called Dave, and that's it. It was just called Dave. And this was back in the day when I was just uploading different stories that I'd had. So my Discord was growing and people getting in touch with the content. I hadn't really done Hobby Nightmares before, and I hadn't really done, like, you know, other things. So the whole channel was basically me talking, you know, about my time at Games Workshop and some interesting things that happened to me whilst I was working there. And then it went into urban myths that I'd been told by other managers about when I was working there. Well, one of the things that actually happened to me was a video about a guy called Dave. And it wasn't, he was a terrible person. and it became a thing. Ever since then, Dave sort of latched on and became a thing in the comments. People going, okay, but, you know, there's got to be, don't be a Dave, why is this guy being a bit of a Dave, that kind of thing. And it took off from there. And ever since, yeah, it just stuck, and people have started doing it more and more and more. I will say, I'm very sorry that you feel that way, but that's all I can be. I can only be sorry that you feel that way, because to me, like, if somebody had used my name in this context, I just think that was hilarious. And I feel like that's really, really funny. But I kind of get what you mean in that you're hearing your name in such a negative context will grate on you. Listen, if you've got to unsub, man, you know, if this is the kind of thing that causes you to unsub, that's a shame, because it's a tiny thing and it's not really something that you should take to heart. You should really be able to disassociate yourself from, like, you know, your name being used and you. I mean, I think I would eventually. It would suck for a little while, and then I'd be like, do you know what? That's just what it is. And I enjoy the content enough. I know he's not talking about me, you know? So, yeah. Again, I guess I could try to not use Dave, but if somebody else uses Dave, I'm not going to change the submission because it upsets you. That's not something I'm going to do. Like, if someone calls the negative person in their story Dave, it's staying in. What I can promise you is that I will no longer use Dave. How's that? Right? If I ever have a Games Workshop story, anything like that I want to put on, then I will no longer use Dave. I can do that myself. But if other people use Dave, I'm not going to change what they say to please somebody else on the channel. I'm just not going to do that, because they've entrusted me with their story. And I owe it to them to tell it in a responsible way that is their words verbatim, rather than me actually saying, hey, this guy over here doesn't like you using his name, so, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I can promise you that I won't use Dave. I can do that for you, but I can't really, you know, mess around with the words of other people, because you get your knickers in a twist because we use the word Dave all the time. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, don't crash your car. Hopefully everything's going well, and hopefully you say subscribe to the channel. Up to you. Anyway, moving on. James says, hi North, you can call me James if you read this out. Thank you, somebody who's used the email system properly. If you want me to read out your story and you don't want me to use your name, please, please, please tell me in the first line of your email or even in the subject of the email. That's even better. Alright, cool. Hi North, you can call me James if you read this out. Included names have also been changed. No problem, man. A bit of backstory first. I'm a 20-year-old guy from the UK, and I've been in the hobby pretty heavily for about 11 years now. More on the painting and converting side than gaming, but I've dabbled. My parents have been separated since before I was born, so I wasn't exactly planned. This led me up to spending my youth trapped in a house with a single mother who resented me just for existing, who never had much money, and so I wasn't able to get into the hobby just yet, only peering through the store windows at the awesome models just out of reach whenever we went into the city. I lived in a pretty rural area and hobby stores were quite rare. This was until my mother remarried and the hobby part of this nightmare picked up. It really sucks, before I move on, it really sucks when parents take out your anger on their kids for something that's not their fault. That sucks, man. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. She married an older guy we'll call Steve, who dragged along 2 kids from his previous relationship. I shan't go into the decency of giving names, but a brother and sister. The brother was 15 at this time and quite into 40k, but was one of the cooler sporty kids, so never really seemed that invested in it. Aptly, he collected ultramarines, painted to the box art as close as he could. Uninspired, if you asked me. Well, yeah, but I've known some amazing hobbyists who love ultramarines, man. It's not that, you know, some people just like to collect what's on the box. After a lot of pestering on my part, I was allowed to paint 5 spare tactical marines and shown a codex for inspiration. I picked Dark Angels because knights are cool and green is better than blue. Alright, fair enough. Around this time, I got a paper round and funneled all of my negligible income towards Warhammer, paints, brushes, you name it. And safe to say, I was completely hooked. Now, as you might guess, with the introduction of my new siblings, my mum doted on them. Seriously, it was like the light of God shone out of their arses. It was really irritating to say the least, and this must have showed, because not long after the wedding, she started physically and mentally abusing me to a, looking back on it, horrendous degree. It sounds like some evil stepmother shit from a fairy tale, but she would leave me without food, lock me outside at night or in the rain. She did this one Christmas, allowing me to look in on their Christmas card-esque lunch from the cold back garden, beat me senseless to the point where I lost a few teeth after one of her sessions, and verbally abused me to the point where I was unable to stop myself from believing her, and this went on for years. I always used the hobby for escapism, which thank God she didn't touch, as my precious half-brother was mildly adjacent to it, so it must be redeemable. Okay, I'm gonna ask what the hell the guy in the situation was doing, like sitting at the Christmas lunch table and going, why is your son out there on his own in the rain? You know what I mean? I just if you ever... Okay, one sec, I'm gonna take a sip of my drink, one sec. Before you cast aspersions on this guy's story, and before you start saying that sounds like hogwash to me, as a teacher and as somebody who's worked with teenagers for quite a while now, these stories are not as uncommon as you think. Tragically, they're not as uncommon as you think. They're actually kind of common. They actually go on quite a lot. I've heard far worse than this. I've heard far more outlandish stories than this that have proven to be true after, therapy and investigations and child services and all that sort of thing have gotten involved. They've turned out to be true. So, I always look at stories like this with a grain of salt, yes, but also with the due care and respect that they deserve, because, quite frankly, it must be very, very difficult for somebody to go through this and then email me in such a open and honest way, in such, warts and all way. So why would you put yourself through it? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I was finally dragged out of this by the system, of all things, social services. They removed me from the household at 13. tracked down my dad, and shipped me and my few possessions off up to London to live with him. I doubt they could just do this, so I guess he had some idea of what was going on. No idea how these systems work. Yes, as far as I know, they wouldn't be able to just ship you over to him. They would be able to tell him what was going on, you know, and he would have to accept you into his household, of course. But yes, they would not be able to just dump you on him. I think they would take you into the system. And he's obviously stepped up and been a decent guy and said, no, I'll take him, right? That's what he's done here. Especially if he's signed away all rights to you, which it sounds like he has. If he's done that, then yeah, they can't just dump you on him, because it's technically, you're not technically legally his kid. But because you're his next of kin blood-wise, you know, they can ask him to take you, certainly. They can certainly ask him to take you, and obviously he's done the right thing here, and he's taken you on, and hopefully he's good from this moment on. We'll see. My possessions were mostly my miniatures, so to my father, this was a defining trait of me that he originally used to get closer to me, showing an interest and all, and for the first 4 years it was great. Things took a turn for the better. Unfortunately, that was only the first 4 years. He had this nasty Spanish bitch wife who was obsessed with making the house like a show home, and when I came in, I took up one of her perfectly curated rooms and made it look livable. She didn't take kindly to this, and it made our interactions frosty, and of course, my dad would go to her for advice about me, as she had kids from a previous relationship too. Lots of healthy people in this story, I guess. He said that, not me, by the way. And I believe that's what started the downward spiral of my life with my dad. As I said, for 4 years, everything was okay. I never really adjusted to life in the big smoke. That's what we call London. Some people call London in the UK, by the way, for those of you who don't know. But hobby stores were a lot easier to come by, so score. By this point, I was doing okay in school, working hard for my own money. I made sure not to ask for anything of them, and I still don't. And working out. It may not surprise you that I never really had friends and sunk most of my free time into the hobby. My dad saw something wrong with this and started needling it ever so slightly, calling it a waste of my time, and for losers, that sort of thing. He would follow me along to my games and interrupt them. When I asked him not to, he would call me when he knew I was playing, calling over and over if I didn't pick up, and keep me tied up in a call for so long that my opponents usually just left. Hanging up I knew would cause problems, so I never did. However, despite his best efforts, it didn't slow me down, so he changed tack. He started to play my hobby against me, saying things like, "You spent so much time doing this, you think you could paint these a little neater," and "You've got so many models to do, why are you wasting your time playing computer games?" Now, this got the effect he wanted, and stripped all enjoyment from the hobby and replaced my attempts to hobby with guilt. The house operated on a no locked doors policy, so he would often just barge into my room and stand there over my shoulder, so I had no time to feel safe in doing my hobby. Gaming was taken, and so was painting. Okay. I'm gonna just say that, you know, there are parents out there who definitely do shit like this, and it sucks. It sucks. Your kid needs a place in your house where they can lock the door and nobody is allowed in. They need that sanctuary. Now, yes, that can be abused against you later on in life, but you can always change the rules and say, look, you had that privilege, you abused it, and now it's going away. But you need to give it to them first. That's just something that I've come across with kids. You know, kids who don't get any privacy at home, kids who don't get their space to do their stuff, they're always the kids who are one of two things in the classroom. Unruly as fuck, or really, 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 really into their solitude. You know, they don't get on with other kids, and it kind of ruins their life. So make sure all the time that your kids have somewhere to go and be in private. And you know what? Teenagers are teenagers. Okay? Like, they do things in their room that they don't want to be interrupted in the middle of. You right? Just let them grow up, for fuck's sake. Shit like this really does grate my gears, though, because it's the same mistakes I see parents doing all the time, and it's not nice. Like, these are two people. James, I know that's not your name, but James, your parents were people who shouldn't have had kids. Alright? You were abused in your first home, and in your second home, you had a dad who just couldn't handle what was going on here, right? And unlike you, your siblings from your Spanish stepmother, I guess, they've got her to go to and be like a film between your dad and them, whereas you don't. You're just his responsibility, and, you know. Yeah. Kids need hobbies, guys. Kids need to have fun and have hobbies. This was until my local games workshop got its new manager. The one before was a bit of a cliquey arsehole, to be fair. A stickler for rules, and the shop was always full of his mates, creating quite an unwelcome environment. But when he fucked off, so did they, and the replacement was an absolute gem of a guy. He was friendly and welcoming, but not the standard pushy Games Workshop staffer way, but in a way that made him seem like a real person. I told him I was in a bit of a hobby slump, and he got me back into painting and playing pretty much in a heartbeat, and reignited my passion for the hobby. Unfortunately, due to all the aforementioned fuckery, I latched onto him a bit. I guess in my head, he was like the ideal father figure, yeah. I really tried not to let this show in our interactions, and I think I got away with this. Naturally, I was devastated when he was moved onto a different store, and the new manager is just as much of a prick as the old one, but back to no games and cliques. Great. Sorry if this is a little rambly and hard to make sense of. I'll go back and edit it as best I can. No, you did a great job. You did a great job, man. I'm out of my shit home situation now, and in my second year of university doing a course in journalism. Brilliant. I just haven't been able to get back my hobby life in the same way. It's not the same. And it's not the hobby climate where I am, and it's been very difficult to gel with the community. I hope you can make sense of any of this. You don't have to read it out. I sort of wanted to vent to somebody I know would listen. Keep up the good work and spreading your message with the channel. It's really a force for good. Regards, James. So, here's my advice. It may not seem like the people at university are your cup of tea just yet. Here's the thing. Every single time two people at university that I've known haven't gotten on, and then they've gone on to, shall we say, spend time together, either alone on a night out or playing a game together, they've always gotten along. They've always tended to get along. Give your university people a chance. And do not waste your university time. Yes, you've been fucked up in the past by different situations that have gone on. That's not your fault. So yes, that's happened in the past. But do not, and I mean this, absolutely, do not let your past define your future. Please, please, please do not do that. Make sure, absolutely make sure, that you're giving university your honest try. And I mean everything. I mean speaking to people, I mean getting involved in events. Don't let it pass you by. Please don't. Look at what's happened in the past. Acknowledge it. Forgive those people, but don't forget. Forgive those people whilst remaining mindful of what they did, and move on. The more you hold that in your heart, the more you hold what they did to you against them in your heart, it's just going to poison you. I will tell you now, if people treat you this badly, they don't think of you ever. They don't give a shit. So the only person you're hurting is you. So look at it, acknowledge it, forgive them, right? Remember what they did, in case they try and worm their way back in, and move on. Secondly, university, give everybody an honest try. Go to your gaming groups, go to hobby time, go to all of these things, and just talk to people. Get out there and just talk, man. Go over the... tell them what's going on. Tell them, look, my family life was pretty sheltered, and I loved the hobby, but I never really got to do it. So, please bear with me. I don't know all the rules. There is nobody at university, especially these days, who will say, "Oh, I'm not playing you." Dude, no. Go out there and try and make friends. And if somebody is like that with you, then move on. You have successfully neutered them from your system. You've gone, right, you're not my friend, go away. That's all you need to do. Go to where you're going to be wanted. Go to your hobby group and open yourself up there, okay? I know you've said, you know, your second year of course of journalism, it's not the same hobby climate. Well, it may not be the same hobby climate, but again, this is their hobby space. And if you want to do the hobby, go there. And do you know what? You have been like that sheltered and that like pushed away from the hobby. You never know. Going there and actually talking to people, you might end up being like, actually, this is my hobby space. I really like this. Do it. Get down to the hobby space. Get down to the gaming group or the 40k group or whatever it is that you need to do, and have fun. Play some games, do some painting, introduce yourself to people, and get friends. You're in your second year of university out of 3. You're halfway through. Don't let it pass you by. Don't. This could be the biggest healing time in your life, and you've still got time. You've still got time if you start now. Open yourself up. Start talking to people. Start playing games of 40k, and let the hobby in. It can help you. Alright? Good. Moving on. This is a comment I received a few days ago, and it was so funny. I think I just had to copy and paste it and talk about it on the channel. Mainly because I just got a chuckle out of it, and it is a hobby nightmare. So, if you didn't want me to do this, comment section, Dan, sorry man, but if you put a comment on a public video, it's public anyway. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people saw it. So, and a lot of people on the Discord have already been talking about it. So, comment section, Dan says, I remember at Adventure Games and Hobbies in New York in 1985, a guy waiting for the bus, asked Carl, the owner of the shop, if he could use the bathroom. Fair enough. Adventure Games and Hobbies in New York. Carl had no problem with it, but told the guy the toilet is broken, so it can only be used for peeing, no shitting. Carl even took the toilet paper out of the toilet, so no one would try to shit in there. We were all shitting at the police station down the street. The guy told that must have been great for the policeman. Like, oh my god, another nerd. Oh my god. The guy told Carl it was just a pee, so Carl let him use the toilet. The problem is, the guy stayed in there for too long for a pee, so Carl popped open the bathroom door, then yeeted the guy out of the bathroom with his pants still round his ankles. Carl was screaming at the guy at the top of his lungs, "This toilet is broken, you piece of shit! You said you only had to piss." To add insult to injury, the guy was using a newspaper he had with him to wipe his ass. While the guy was outside at the bus stop, he was screaming at Carl, then threw a rock at the door of the shop. As soon as the rock hit the window, every kid in the shop playing Battletech quickly grabbed up all of the Pepsi bottles and Carl's spent beer bottles, then began bombing the guy as he ducked to dodge the bottles. Someone must have called the DPU police because a squad car rolled up to break it up. There was broken glass all over the place and the cop was pissed. The cop told us he made the guy come down to the bus stop near us because the people down at the other bus stop beat the guy up. The owner of the flower shop across the street came out with a broom and a cardboard box to clean up the mess. When the cop saw the store owner, the cop made her hand the box and broom to the guy as the bus stop for him to clean up the mess. The cop knew this guy was an asshole and was responsible for past dealings with the schmuck. Poor Carl had to put on some of the big dishwashing gloves to manually scoop up the combination of shit and newspaper from the toilet. Carl dumped the mess into the cardboard box, then sucker punched the guy as he was sweeping up the glass. All the cop did was yell for Carl to get back inside your shop. So the Carl's like, so the policeman's like, hey, homeless guy, you need to clean up this mess. Okay, fine. Then Carl comes out and goes, here's your stuff. Bang! Just hits him square in the jaw. All the cop did was yell for Carl to get back inside your shop this instant. Then the Battletech and AD&D game went on like nothing happened. Normal day of gaming in Depew, New York in the mid 1980s. There you go. So if you ever come across your store owner or store guy and he's in a bit of a bad mood or in a bit of a worse mood than usual, then please make sure you understand sometimes they are dealing with people like this who come into their store and take a massive dump where they're not supposed to. Second story of that kind in 2 days. There we are. I love you a long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow for a bit of a rantage tomorrow. Not sure what on yet. I have several things to cover, so I will get into that tomorrow. Love you all a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye now.